Hi there, everyone. Welcome back for another action movie review. And now I'm gonna talk, of course, another and reviewing, of course, another action movie, and that's going to be Lethal Weapon. The first movie in the franchise came out 1987, and one of the best action movies of all time from the 80s. Body cop action classic, a classic action movie. And Little Weapon I love to death. There's like some people prefer. There's like talk about Die Hard and Little Weapon, and I still love this movie more than Little Weapon. Die Hard franchise is my favorite movie. My title, Rambo McLean for life. A Little Weapon, I mean, is a body cop action movie. And by the way, this is a VHS. I saw as a kid. This is actually a childhood movie. My favorite childhood movie. As a kid, I watched Little Weapon non-stop. But this is actually theatrical cut. This is actually a long cut, 1 hour 57 minutes. Which is the back. This is the VHS, and I also do have this film on Blu-ray. No, I don't have the DVD. The DVD was sold out, so I couldn't got it. But I have the film on Blu-ray. This is theatrical cut. The Blu-ray, yeah, this is the Blu-ray. And of course, kind of better the VHS. The back, so that you can see, and Little Weapon is another action franchise. There were three sequels, and of course the TV show. And there's a talk about Little Weapon 5, but so far it wasn't confirmed yet. That's going to be the fifth film yet. But Little Weapon stars Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, and of course Gary Busey as the bad guys, Mr. Joshua, Mitchell Ryan as the General, Peter McAllister, or was just General McAllister, General McAllister, and of course the other cast are Steve Kahn from Demolition Man, I think was Captain Murphy, I'm not sure. But Little Weapon came out the same year as Predator, RoboCop, The Running Man, The Lost Boys, and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, and the other action 80s movies, that came out. And Little Weapon, like I said, is a classic movie directed by Richard Donner, written by Shane Black, which he did a great job writing a script and a story for the film. Great direction by Richard Donner, and great cast. It has great cast. Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and I think Tom Atkins is in the film. Mitchell Ryan, Gary Busey as Mr. Joshua, which is great. Mr. Joshua, he's great as the bad guy. And of course, Gary Busey stated that that time the studio was looking for someone who's menacing tall enough, so he got cast as Mr. Joshua. So my favorite of the franchise of all the four films is actually the first one. It's actually this movie, the original film, Little Weapons. My favorite. It's an action classic. I love this movie to death. This is actually the VHS director's cut. Have not seen this film director's cut since 2012. That time was the first time I saw director's cut on DVD. But I wasn't fan. I'm not fan of the director's cut because I did not grow up with that cut. I grew up with theatrical cut. With this cut, this theatrical cut on Blu-ray. Only DVD has special edition director's cut, which are actually 7 minutes of the delayed scenes. One of the delayed scenes is in which we see twice Mel Gibson in the trailer. At first he's naked, we see her ass naked. The other scene is when Mel Gibson gets dressed with a gun. That now we see he's a cop. Because he's weaponed. There's another scene when he goes on the school playground, and there's a sniper shooting at kids and shooting at cops, and Mel Gibson walks through the sniper, and the guy is incompetent at even hitting Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson grabs a gun, and shoots him. Bang, bang, bang. He shoots him. That's the latest scene. The other scene that I remember is when Mel Gibson he grabs this hooker as an escort, and he pays her to make him a company. That was another related scene. And another scene that I remember is when Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are driving this car, and Danny Glover says, "I'm a dead man. What you talking to me? I'm a dead man." And Mel Gibson says the dialogue, "You look like very alive to me for a dead man." That scene in the theatrical cut that I just watched now is actually deleted. But yeah, that is the dialogue. There was also on the DVD, I remember, which is actually right there also on IMDb Trivia, and that was actually Little Weapon 4, the DVD, because I remember back in 2012. I remember that that there was a scene in which Riggs is actually in this bar, and there's a few thugs attacking him, and he easily kicks ass, he easily kicks butt, and kicks everyone else asses, and he gets a free bottle for free, but doesn't kill anyone. That scene was deleted. And there was another scene in which Danny Glover says, "We got them," and he says he's gonna retire, and Gibson says no. That was also a scene that was I think that was also deleted. That was not in the theatrical version. But yeah. Now to the story, like I said, written by Shane Black, great screenplay directed by Richard Donner, and the movie talks about these two cops, this is a buddy cop action movie, my favorite action movie. It's a widescreen. Every time I watch this movie, it's pure badass, brings a lot of my memories on a childhood, and non-stop I watch this film. More than I saw the sequels, more than I saw Little Weapon 2 and 3. I watched this movie non-stop because I was a huge fan of Mel Gibson, I was a huge fan of Mel Gibson, and this is actually success of the first two Mad Max movies that he did, Mad Max and The Road Warrior, he did, Mel Gibson. And funny was enough that the studios, offered him a role in this movie, Die Hard, and he rejected the idea, and he rather chose to do this movie. He also rejected a few movies, and he chose the role of Marty Riggs for Little Weapon. While Bruce Willis got an offer to do Little Weapon, but he rejected, but he accepted the role for this film, Die Hard, one of my favorite movies of all time. Die Hard, love to death, And Little Weapon is a classic badass action movie, pure badass action movie for all time, and very interesting characters. It's rated there. It's no CGI, hard air. Very dangerous stunt, hard air scenes. Badass action, great action sequence. If I mentioned rated there, I still prefer theatrical cut as 1 hour 49 minutes than almost 2 hours long film. But yeah, I love this film, Little Weapon. I love this movie because why it's my favorite, because it's more dark, more gritty, because the next sequels are more humoristic, they actually have more slapstick comedy. The next sequels, this has no comedy, it's more serious, but Little Weapon, I used to have the VHS of theatrical cut. I don't have it. I bought this. I actually did bought this in high school. I still kept it. I bought the Little Weapon 1, 2, 3, 4 was actually sold out, but I got the trilogy, so I bought it, director's cut. But got this back in 2014. I bought this Blu-ray with the theatrical cut, which I'm more fan. I'm more fan of theatrical cut than director's cut because I grew up with that version, so that's one of the reasons. But yeah, now to the characters, which are very interesting, which are one of the best, one of my favorite characters. This is actually my favorite character, Martin Riggs, in this movie. I still prefer this movie over the TV show, but that's me. A badass classic 80s action movie. Yeah, Roger Murtaugh is actually a happy married man. He's a family man. He's happily married. He has two daughters and a son. He enjoys. He works by a homicide in LA. And he's a good guy, He's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He's a sweet guy, He just made it. He just celebrated his 50th birthday. And Martin Riggs is the completely opposite of Roger Murtaugh. He's actually on a suicide edge, and he's crazy. He's actually really crazy. He's also a cop, but he works on a narcotic division. And I forgot to mention, but Roger Murtaugh is also a Vietnam vet, and he's also a Vietnam vet, And Martin Riggs is a sniper. When he was 19 years old in Laos, he killed a man from 1,000 yards, through the. He actually had a lucky which he hit him through the wind, with a sniper rifle. So he's a sniper, and he was in a shadow company in special forces. He's also a Vietnam vet, and his wife just passed away in car accident recently. Since then, he's a suicide edge. He's crazy, and no one wants to work with him because he's a burnout cop. He's a burnout cop. And of course the psychiatrist, the girl, she says that he's completing suicide. It's not a good idea to have him in the department, but Captain stick his neck for him, says he's a tough bastard. And the movie, of course, sets on a Christmas holiday. This is actually a Christmas holiday movie, so it's set in Christmas, just like this movie, Die Hard. It's actually on a Christmas holiday. There's this girl, Jackie Swanson. She plays Amanda Hansaker. We see her younger, naked with beautiful tits. And Jackie Swanson, she actually jumped from the 35 feet tall building, but to perform the scene, she did that scene herself, and poor girl, she was poisoned with heroin. Someone poisoned her, and she went on a balcony, and she jumped off the balcony of the building and killed herself. And of course, the case looks like a suicide. He gets the case. Roger Murtaugh gets the case as suicide, but later turns out to be actually a homicide. And the girl that jumped, that she was poisoned with heroin, she was also the daughter of his buddy, Michael Hansaker from Vietnam. They both served in the same platoon, and his buddy saved his life in Vietnam, and now his daughter, she committed suicide. She was killed, and he tried to get. He was searching for him for 3 days, to get contact with him, but no luck, and because he owns his friend, he decides to investigate the murder, what's going on, and he gets a burnout cop, he becomes his partner, and they don't want to work together, but they have no choice, And like, I love the dialogue between those two guys, like Mel Gibson, happy birthday, man. Maybe you will stay alive long enough for me to buy you a present, or when I love when you asshole, and I love when Mel Gibson, his character Marty Riggs gets called, you sure are one crazy son of a bitch. You sure are crazy son of a bitch, And yeah, Marty Riggs, he's actually narcotic division, and he completely jeopardized all the operation. He put all in the risk all of the lives of his fellow officers, and like a pure badass, he goes shoots one of the bad guys with a shotgun. And the guy holds the gun in his temple, and he keeps saying his fellow officers, shoot him, and he gives him a kiss, with his head, kicks ass, he gets and now he because no one wants to work with him anymore because he really is crazy. He wants to kill himself. He gets he gets transferred to him to be his partner, and when it turns out that the poor girl was actually poisoned, the new leads brings them to this team that are actually drug dealers, to drug smugglers who are actually responsible for the death of Amanda Hansaker and God many how many people they killed, because they are drug smugglers. They're actually smuggling heroin, and they are ex-Vietnam vets, a shadow company in which Martin Riggs used to be in the company, and of course Mr. Joshua and General McAllister are selling the dope, and the girl, she was actually poisoned and killed because of Michael Hansaker. His company was actually a cover, front cover from the CIA to smuggle heroin, the dope on a goddamn streets, and these two cops, they get themselves in this situation, which they have to do now. It's whatever it takes to shoot to kill, they have to shoot to kill. And this is like a pure badass 80s action movie of all time, and there's a lot of shootout scenes, hard air scenes, rated R. Great music score by Michael Kamen, and of course great music score by Michael Kamen, and of course Eric Clapton. Michael Kamen, he was born 1984, passed away 2003, so rest in peace. He did this movie, the music score. He also did Die Hard 2 and 3. I don't know, I think he did all the Little Weapon movies music score, but the budget for this movie was $15 million, which is actually for the stunt, danger stunts, they did like $50 million. Worldwide made $120 million, and also was nominated for an Oscar. It was actually nominated for an Oscar. But yeah, Gary Busey, I love him in Eye of the Tiger and Predator 2, and I love him in this movie that he's a nemesis to Mel Gibson. And yeah, like I said, the leads, they go on a final range. Mel Gibson and Danny Glover go on a final range, and we also see Mel Gibson, how skilled he is, not only jiu-jitsu and martial arts, he grabs a gun and fires from the range, and like 10 times, and he makes a smile face, or they go to this, they go to Beverly Hills to question this housekeeper from Amanda Hansaker, and the man grabs a shotgun, shoots them, and shoots at them, and of course, Danny Glover with his Smith & Wesson model, 19, shoots him the leg. And the man grabs a gun, tries to kill him, and Mel Gibson grabs his Beretta, shoots him. They both, I love because they're decent. They both jump in the water, in the pool. They try to save him, And I love when Murto says, "Haven't you met anyone that you have not killed yet? That you not have killed yet?" Well, I haven't killed you yet. I love that, Or I love when Mel Gibson, Riggs, he goes on this roof. There's a suicide jumper, and he cuffs him, and says you're gonna kill a cop, a psycho cop. Yeah, psycho, still a cop, still a murder. Fuck you, I'm jumping. Do you really want to jump? Let's do it, asshole. It's fine by me, They actually jump, and that was done for real. No CGI, no fancy shaky cam. It was done for real. I still don't know. When the Mel Gibson and the actor, both jump, how they filmed that. But then we see later in sequences actually a stunt doubles, for Mel Gibson. Also, when they both jump, the handcuffs get they actually break the handcuffs, but later they're still in chain, so it's how many times they tried to do that stunt, it was kind of very dangerous, yeah, but that stunt was actually done for real. They both jump off the roof, probably 300 feet, maybe less, 100 feet. They jump off the roof, which is a very insane, dangerous stunt, in my opinion, For $50 million, that was actually a very dangerous stunt, very realistic, There's also a scene, when they get argument, and like Myrtle says, do you really want to die? I don't want to die, but not afraid to die, and he gives him a gun, put it in the mouth, gives him a gun, and Riggs grabs his gun, I'm gonna give something to eat, I'm hungry. And I love when the Myrtle calls doctor and says something's eating, the psychiatrist says, says something's eating him, he's very dangerous. If he's get loose, better away from him, And Myrtle says, yeah, you're very helpful, which means she wasn't helpful. And I love when he says, my birthday, what a fucking birthday, I have a house, I'm a married man, I have a beautiful house, a boat, a fisherman boat, and now I'm a dead because my partner once is suicide, What talking to me? I'm a dead man, Or when he said God hates me, hate him back, horse for me. When you're talking to me, I'm a dead man. Oh, don't worry, I already drive when you're in a diaper. I love that. The dialogue was fantastic. These two guys are dynamo, these two guys are they're awesome. They're not awful, awesome. They're a badass. They're pure badass, I miss this kind of movies, Die Hard, Little Weapon, and like on IMDb, I saw at least Die Hard with Little Weapon, Some people says Little Weapon is actually better than Die Hard. Some that Die Hard is better than Little Weapon. I love both the movies, Just this is actually my favorite action movie. Die Hard Avengers is my favorite movie, Little Weapon, pure badass action film. And I forgot to mention, but Riggs carries a Beretta 9mm, on a 15 barrels, one in the chamber, 14 in the mag, and of course Murtaugh carries Smith & Wesson modern 19.6 barrels, old-timer carrying, hey, not bad for old man. Step aside, old man. I love that the fire range, Step aside, old man. I love that, So the leads brings now, I also love because, he cares. Poor girl, she gets killed, Justice for a girl. She gets killed. She gets poisoned by the other women, Dixie, another hooker. And I love that she wasn't, I love the actress who played Dixie, that she wasn't like so foul-mouthed, killing, keep saying bad languages, to Roger Murtaugh when he was just joking, which I love that. And also they don't talk about race, because because he's black and he's white. They don't talk about race. I love that in this movie. They don't talk about race. It's a pure badass. It's actually a decent movie, more than decent, And I love the characters. I love him because he's a good guy, and he cares, Watch him closely. He watches the VHS tape from Amanda, Poor girl, she gets killed. Whole life has been ruined, And of course, both the cars, there's a cat, Burbank, I don't have my cat in my room. He sleeps. He sleeps in the living room, in my living room, so I don't have the cat, my cat's not named Burbank, it's actually Tony, my cat, but the cat sleeps on Myrtle, and they decide to go to Dixie, to the house, to question her, and there's an explosion. There's actually an explosion, a practical effect explosion, and there's a plane flies past the house. The cops go to the house. There's an explosion. Whole house blows to pieces. Which is pure badass in my opinion. Whole house blows to pieces. Which is pure. Excuse me. Which is pure badass. And whole house explodes. Which is pure badass. So. When Murtaugh, he was so sweet and nice, when the kids ask if it's true that cops are shooting black people, he was not pissed, he was nice, he was sweet. He says it's better they get an ice cream, and he questioned that poor kid, and that kid, Albert, tells him that he saw a white man, a blonde white man, with tattoo, and that was actually for special forces, and that was actually really awesome, which is pure badass, my opinion. And there's also, we see the bad guys, in the club scene, which is Gary Busey shows up, and there's Ed Ross from Red Heat, Ed Ross shows up, and they grab his rider. And they say, Mr. Joshua, grip your hand at the lighter, and they see all the lighter, like lighter, like this, lighter, which is crazy, and says, "You're gone, you're lunatic, yeah, Merry Christmas to you," but Gary Busey, best performance, my opinion, as a bad guy. I love him so much. I love him in Predator 2 more, as Peter Keyes, FBI agent. Which Predator 2, Danny Glover and Gary Busey, they both reteamed, which is so awesome, that film. But Little Weapon, a pure classic, I did not still mention the best part. So when the second time, Roger Murtaugh questions Michael Hansaker, he gets killed by a sniper rifle by Mr. Joshua in the helicopter scene, and of course, I think I wrote down, was called XM-177 Commando Rifle, American rifle to win a war with a sniper Colt Commando Rifle. He fires and kills Michael Hansaker, and Riggs goes with his Beretta 9mm and fires, and he blows all the barrels, but doesn't hit the helicopter, and he of course he uses 2 magazines, and still don't know how he couldn't hit the helicopter, and during when they question more, when both the cops on the street are questioning those young girls, Mr. Joshua shows up with Remington, shotgun, and aims and fires and shoots and kills Riggs, and we see a glass split, and a pure glass split, and the stuntman jumps off the glass, glass window, and of course we found out that Riggs wears a bulletproof vest, says, now I'm pissed, I see the same asshole, Latino asshole he killed. He done Michael Hansaker. I always remember assholes, and I love that, Says, man, I'm pissed now, Roger, I'm pissed, What now, kid? And said, I'm corpse. And that's a good news, and when of course when of course Joshua asked, because they think that the cops knew for the shipment, and that will be really bad if 50 cops shows up, for that shipment. So they go and kidnap Roger Murtaugh's daughter, and they found a note, this scene, and they both found the note, and of course when Joshua asked the homicide, he finds out that Riggs is dead, that his corpse. So they go to Mojave Desert in California, to the desert in the sunrise. And there's there's a lot of mercenaries, and we see Rayanne, played by Tracy Wolf, she's been taken hostage, and of course Roger Murtaugh grabs the grenade, which is a smoke bomb, and we see us with sniper rifle. Riggs, in the desert, shooting all the bad guys like a pure badass he is, It was sniper rifle, Heckler and Koch, PCG 120 round magazine, and he was like a pure badass with that scene with a sniper, he bang, 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 shoot all the bad guys, like a pure badass. He shoot all the bad guys, he saves the girl's life, she stole the limousine, and we see also a helicopter in the desert, she stole the limousine, and she escaped, and Murtaugh gets wounded, but gets caught, they destroyed with machine guns, they destroyed his car. Of course Riggs gets captured. Then we have electroshock torture, Mel Gibson's my favorite scene. Mel Gibson has been tortured with electroshocks, by Ali Long. Ali Long, he did Uli. Mr. Endo, he did Uli. In this movie, Die Hard, one of the terrorists, Ali Long, he played the torture that gives electroshock to Martin Riggs, and of course because Mr. Joshua is convinced that Riggs knows something, if they know where the shipment's coming, where the shipment's going to be, a heroin. And of course the Murtaugh is actually been tortured, been beaten, and they use like salt on his wound, and they tortured his baby girl. And like a pure badass, when Mr. Joshua leaves, he goes and breaks Ali Wong's neck with his legs, gets himself loose, kills the bad guys, he grabs like a crazy son of a bitch. He is, he's crazy, and breaks the other guy's neck with his hands, grabs the gun, bang, 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 shoots all the bad guys in the stomach, bang, 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 saves partner's life, he goes in the club, kills, they both shoot the bad guys, Mr. Joshua with his commando, with his Colt Commando, automatic rifle, fires back, escapes, Riggs goes with his Heckler Koch submachine automatic weapon, chases him down the street, we see great highway full of cars, like a pure badass, in shape. He did all his own stunts, runs, fires the bad guys, the car. He did all his own stunts. I didn't saw the car, the stunt double except the jump, but the rest, Mel Gibson, he did his own stunts, which is a pure badass, He was only 30 years old that time, Then this movie came out, was filmed in 1986. I think, it was filmed in 1986, but released in 1987, and he runs for Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua steals a car, and the car is blows to pieces. He steals another car and escapes. And I love the dialogue when now Murtaugh saves his daughter. He goes to the police officer, lets the girl by him, he says, General McAllister, time to die. And he goes to the guy, with his Smith & Wesson Model 19, like a pure badass he is, No way you live, no way. And McAllister says hit him, and they go with the car, and he makes it like this. Grabs the gun, boom! Fires in the head, in the fucking driver. The car flips over. right in front of the bus. That scene, pure badass scene in front of the car, an explosion. He has grenaded, the car explodes like a pure badass, a real stunt scene, a pure badass scene, explodes to pieces, that's how we do an action movie, and Mr. Joshua escapes, and of course, Murto says, where's Joshua? And says, Riggs, he escaped, he fired me. Ooh, the son of a bitch, where I live, and I love when Joshua shows up, and two police officers front Murto's house, says, can I help you? No, thank you, goes, bang, 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 shoots the two cops, goes in the house, it says, there's like TV all open, and Mr. Joshua, again, you see like a pure badass, he goes, fight, for damn Christmas, and destroys the TV, man, sorry, bad guys, only good guys here, and there's a car, and like, the car goes in, and he destroys the fucking car with his Colt Commando rifle, like crazy son of a bitch. And Riggs shows up with his Beretta 9, aims at him. You wanna see a title? There's a fight sequence on the Murtoslav, like a pure badass. They fight each other. I mean, Gibson uses that kick, kicks him in the stomach, grabs his legs, his fucking neck, almost break his goddamn neck, But Murto says, break his neck, and says, no, you lose, They go together, because he's wounded, and Joshua grabs one of the cops' gun, they both like, and the Murto is the first to shoot, they both shoot him, bang, bang, they shoot him, and kills Mr. Joshua, like a pure badass scene. And we see then on the funeral, Riggs, he's on the funeral, and he goes to the house, which they're now actually painting, they're remodeling the house. It's the car blew the house, and they Riggs goes to Murtaugh, and that the movie ends. And yeah, I have not heard the Honeymoon Suit. Also, I did not heard that song on the end. I don't remember until I saw this movie in Blu-ray, but no, I did not saw before. But these two are interesting characters. It's rated there. Hard there. Scenes. Pure badass action film. I mean, this is how we do an action movie, a body cop action movie. One of my favorite movies. This is actually my favorite of all 4 Lethal Weapon movies. My favorite, the best one, my opinion, pure badass classic 80s action movie. I think it was that producer Joel Silver, which he produced those 2 movies, Roadhouse, Die Hard, if you can see, But yeah, that's actually my review on Lethal Weapon. We'll be reviewing all 4 films. That's my review on Lethal Weapon. And the best one, action, classic, pure badass, a classic, entertaining action film, pure badass, a phenomenal badass action, top-notch action movie from the 80s. I recommend it for action fans. But that's my review on Lethal Weapon. And stay tuned for the sequel, which I'm probably gonna upload it tomorrow, Lethal Weapon 2. Take care and have a good one. I'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace.